Welcome to the Battle Buddy Podcast with Keith McKeever.
And welcome back, Battle Buddies. Got another podcast episode for you, and we've got Ben Gould from Blue Star Families here. Ben's going to talk to us about all the resources and stuff that they've got going on. Ben, you hold a distinction. I don't know if I told you this, but you're the first civilian to be on the podcast. So congratulations.
Honored to hold that award. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to talk to you about all the different things. I just told you a couple minutes ago before we started that we could talk for 2 or 3 hours on all the different resources and stuff. So really the goal of this episode is just kind of highlight the big picture of all the different things that Blue Star Families can do. And I'll go ahead and throw that down there at the bottom, bluestarfam.org. For those who happen to be listening and not watching, should be pretty easy to remember, bluestarfam.org. Go there. Huge website, tons of resources. But before we get into it, Ben, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your story? How'd you get involved with Blue Star Families?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me first and foremost. My background is a civilian. I work mostly in political organizing, advocacy, and nonprofits. I did an internship with then Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth's office, where I was an intern with the Veterans Case Manager. So that was kind of my little connection to the military and veteran community. And got the opportunity to start here in Chicago just after they launched the chapter. And so far, it's been certainly a learning experience for myself to learn the kind of difficulties that military families endure, and something that has been very educational for me. And I know that we need more civilians to understand these issues for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely a big divide. For civilians who don't know anything about the military, have virtually no connections, and the veteran community, and we have to do a better job on both sides of asking questions and telling stories so that everybody understands, because there's such a huge difference culture-wise between civilian life and military. It's totally different. You're in it for a few years and then you're out. But most people don't serve or don't have somebody super close. And unfortunately, as vets, sometimes we're pretty bad at opening up and talking about our experiences. We kind of hold it in. We talk about it with our brothers and sisters, but we don't kind of openly talk about a lot of different things. But, the families do know. And, I mean, that's what you're doing. Blue Star Families with all kinds of resources and helping out. And I think because of that and all your work with veterans and for veterans, I think we can officially adopt you into the club, whatever that. We'll bring you in. You're in the inner circle now, for whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
But Blue Star Family's got a ton of different resources. So, like in your mind, what are the top, 3 or 4 different resources that Blue Star Families is doing? What are the things that they're doing out there?
Yeah, sure. Blue Star Families got started as an organization to really support military families at large and as a whole. While the military does a really good job of training the service member for their particular role and has a support system built in with them, really, a lot of times the family, the wife or husband or spouse, or kids, bear the brunt of some of the most difficult challenges of frequent moving, PCSing, deployment. And so it was really to help and support families in a variety of ways, and really build strong communities of support within our military communities, so military families can thrive as they serve. Some of the biggest things that we do at Blue Star Families is our military family lifestyle survey. It's the largest of its kind, reaches usually about 11,000 respondents every year, and tracks kind of the data points in terms of the difficulties that military families endures, and allows us to take that information and put our resources and programming into combating them, and also being able to use that information to inform policymakers, elected officials, military leadership, VSO, MSOs, philanthropists, etc. In terms of direct resources, a big issue is spouse employment. So through us and our partners, we have Spouse Force, which is kind of like our online platform that brings workshops and employers directly to military families who are looking for jobs, and often in jobs that are conducive to the military lifestyle, being remote, being one of the biggest ones, and flexible in terms of having kids. And so we have a jobs newsletter that goes out, and the nice thing is that regardless of where you are, you can access those things because they're all virtually done through our website. And also have career coaching and resume writing and those types of services. We work with some great partners and through our website, where military families, spouses included, can obtain certifications in some of the kind of leading areas of employment, data analytics, human resource and project certification, project management certifications, working with the Syracuse University. And so those are all resources that are absolutely free and can equip job seekers with the tools to advance their employment, even under the difficult circumstances that military families are enduring on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it's awesome that you hit on like resume writing. Like that's one thing that I'm glad you guys offer that. I'm sure there's other people do, but for the military spouses, like, boy, I hate to say this, but don't let your don't let your spouse write that. Military members are terrible at this. It holds over to becoming a veteran. That resume is going to be full of all kinds of acronyms, and it's not going to be what employers are really looking for. And so I plead with you, if you're a military spouse, go get the help from Blue Star Families or whatever. Don't use resources and base. And if it feels weird to kind of say that, but if you go to the wrong person, it's just going to be full of acronyms, and it's going to stand out probably by human relations expert, the hiring authorities, whatever, of, oh, this is definitely a military spouse. All these acronyms and all this other stuff in there. But you mentioned like remote work, and we've talked about that before when we met. If you notice any difference in that, like, is it easier to find the spouse's employment now that it seems like a lot of companies are kind of becoming okay with remote work, the ones that weren't previously?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely been maybe one of the few silver linings dealing with COVID. It has made employment sometimes more accessible for people that might be in, parts of the country that have less, strong economic backbone, so to speak. And so that many of these companies are offering jobs that can be done from literally anywhere, and that are often can be done on the person's kind of timeline as well, for spouses and people with children and dealing with other responsibilities as well. So it's been a benefit to be able to take companies that say, like, we want to hire military spouses, and then being able to directly pull them into our job seekers. And so you can go to our website and become a member. It's absolutely free, and you can put in your information employment-wise, what you're looking for, and then we can keep you updated and give you access to our events, our workshops, our careers newsletter, and you'll be hooked into some of our partner organizations that provide a lot of those great direct services. And I mean, all of those are open to military members, service members, and veterans as well. We have kind of a focus on spouses, but we're always open to helping veterans as well. And I think, Keith, as you mentioned, there are so many different types of jobs that are done by our service members, and being able to translate them on paper to hiring managers that are civilians, so you can explain in the best light in common terms that they'd understand kind of the work you've done and how that translates directly into the jobs or sector that you're hoping to go into.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a resume expert, but if I was looking at one as a civilian and I see a bunch of 3 and 4 letter acronyms, it's going to be like reading a foreign language. I'm not going to have a clue what you're talking about. I'm going to look at it like, I don't speak Chinese or write Chinese, but it'd be like looking at some foreign language that I just cannot, there's just no way without really training yourself and learning about it that you're even going to remotely have a clue what you're reading. And if you can't tell that on paper, then you're probably not going to get a phone call for an interview. You got to nail that first impression, and that resume is your first impression. So that's really awesome for those out there that might need a little bit of employment help. Because right now, you look at things, and I don't get political on my page, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff talking about employment issues. I mean, there's a lot of people that are unemployed, and you go places and there's not enough people cooking, and it takes longer to get your food, and you can't get the right service because there's not enough people there. So the jobs are out there. So use the resources and go get them. So another thing that you guys offer I know you guys don't have it in Chicago, but it's a kind of a national. Some places around the country have it as your caregivers empowering caregivers. So what exactly is going on with that kind of program? Because I found that pretty intriguing. It's kind of like a mentorship kind of thing, if I'm reading it right.
Yeah. So I mean, military spouses and military family members often become caregivers, whether they see themselves under that terminology or not. They're often carrying out the role of being a care person, which can certainly be beyond a full-time job. And some of the resources that we have for caregivers, especially because it sometimes can come upon you pretty quickly, and there's not a ton of information sometimes that you're able to be accessible to in your local community. So one of those are, as you mentioned, the Caregivers Empowering Caregivers, really social events that are developed to empower military caregivers and give them a sense of support system in a social setting with resources and sharing peer support, so they can explain what they're going through and really find people that are kind of going through similar things or been through those things in the past that can provide them with kind of a mentorship and support system, whether it's emotionally or practically. And some of the other, sorry, I was just going to say, and some of the other information and services that we have on our website, we have like an avatar-based technology to support caregivers. So essentially, you can go and talk to this in real time and give them questions, and they'll bounce back answers to you in real time. And we also work with the Rosalind Carter Institute for Caregiving, and they offer like a caregiver program for coaching. It's like a 16 to 24 month program for totally free that is offered to give people the education and support in themselves in a caregiver role that may not have planned to be in one.
Yeah, no, that's what as I was kind of reading about it and kind of coming up with the questions that I wanted to ask you, right, to kind of get that huge view, not to, because you got so many different resources. It really spoke to me just knowing that there's a lot of medical things that can come up. I mean, anything could happen to you. It could be a car accident tomorrow. It could be, a service connected issue that next thing you know, you're getting a limb amputated, or you lose your sight, whatever. And that service member goes through a huge adjustment, but so does the family, because somebody else is doing different chores now. They're taking care of you. You got mobility issues, maybe, even simple things as bathing and going to the bathroom, eating food. Like, things can just change so drastically. And I can't imagine personally going through that. So, that really spoke to me, having a resource where you could talk to other people and say, hey, here's what I'm going through. And if, Ben, you've been through the same thing, a short conversation could put somebody's mind at ease and say, you know what, this person's done it. This is the tips and the tricks and stuff that they learned and how they kept their mind on the right path to process this and do what they do would be huge, So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say that, sometimes these can be temporary roles, and it's not always physical issues too. It could be, mental, emotional, dealing with, post-traumatic stress and other issues become, caregiver roles in certain circumstances as well.
Absolutely. You mentioned your annual lifestyle survey. So I don't know when exactly that was done last, but what were the, couple of top takeaways from what you found in that?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier kind of our survey. It's basically, it tracks a year-to-year basis some of the difficulties that military families endures, and does a breakdown geographically as well, based upon reserve families, guard, active duty, and veterans. And there certainly are some similarities across the board. One of the biggest ones is time away from family, especially amongst reserve and guard families. That ranked in at number one. For active duty families, it was spouse employment, but very closely followed by time away from family. So that has always been, kind of the top tier issues. Some of the other ones are around military pay, the children's education. Those are ones that certainly come up often, and when dealing with the veteran community, Then we have, in the top 5 things like post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, as well as, VA healthcare accessibility and quality care, as well as military benefits. But really at the top of that is often time away from family, spouse employment, deployment impact on families, and military pay seem to be at the top, as well as family stability and children's education.
When you stop and think about it and reflect on what you just said there, I mean, it's not really much of a surprise. I think about especially the veteran ones, PTSD, TBI. I mean, yeah, you would definitely expect those in the top 5 of concerns for sure. And so, yeah, not much of a surprise there. So when is the next survey? Do you know?
So we do them every year. Because of COVID, it was moved. So we did the 2021 was during the fielding. It ended in October. This year we did the fielding, which ended in June, went through from late April to early to mid-June, and so it will begin again next April. Will be the 2021 cycle. Well, it will be the 2022 cycle. We do them, in advance because it takes us some time then to answer the data. We usually release the results of the preceding survey, and then almost immediately following that go into the fielding portion for the succeeding survey. And there are also some more locally based assessments that we do. Actually, currently we're going to be starting one in Illinois next month, our Illinois needs assessment, and right now we're coming to the conclusion of our racial equity survey that we've been doing throughout the country as well, looking at military and veteran families of color.
Awesome. So those surveys, are those emailed out, or is it something that somebody goes to the website? Because I just had thoughts here, man. Like if it's something you could send me so I can get it out there on the website, on the Facebook page, the Facebook group that I've got here for the podcast. If it can help get 10 more eyes on it, 20 eyes, 30 eyes, whatever, better, because that's a lot of data, and honestly, maybe a lot of data, but it should be double or triple that, right? To really get an even more accurate depiction of what's going on.
Yeah, during survey time, I mean, it's certainly one of the premier things on the website directly, but we have links as well that we can definitely send around to you as we get into the fielding period. And I can send you the results of the last year survey if people are interested, and take a look. And, as we know, military families are constantly moving and things are changing. So we do this on an annual basis, and when things like COVID, hit you, being able to use questions around COVID and see how it's impacting military families specifically is something that we've been able to do quickly in transitioning to new things that pop up and play in the role in the lives of military families.
Absolutely. I know personally I would love to read that, but I would love to if it'd be okay to put that on my website too as a resource as I try and build my website. Not just the podcast and talking about these issues, but I really want to build out more. I've got some stuff on there, but I'm always looking for more stuff to add, more value, where people can find different things. And I'd love to share the links too, as you got them, especially, since we're both here in Illinois, great state of Illinois, and, having a better idea what's going on in our own backyard too. So, some other things that you kind of mentioned before. And, another thing that you guys do is free museum visits. So what can you tell us about that? For those with little kids or maybe even adults want to go to the museum.
Yeah, definitely. It's for everyone. So Blue Star Families works with the National Endowment for the Arts and also the Department of Defense and museums across the country to offer free admission to active duty military personnel, Guard, reservists, veterans, and their families. So between Armed Forces Day, May 15th, and Labor Day for this year will be on September 6th. The museums that are participating will be, and there's hundreds across the country, offering free admission for military families. And so if you go to the National Endowment for the Arts website, or you could go to our website and just Google Blue Star Museums, the first one will pop up and you'll be able to look and search in your area and see which museums as a military family you have free access to.
Absolutely. Everybody should take advantage of that. Get out there because there's some great museums, and I've been in a couple this year, and it seems like they're not that busy. So get out there and go do it. Spend some time with your family. That quality of life is important. So, some other resources you guys got going on. You got like book clubs, yellow ribbon program, virtual summer camp. Anything in there that you'd like to hit on?
Yeah, definitely. So we do have for the second year our virtual summer camp, and then we started last year. Given that a lot of kids weren't able to go to their normal camp or were stuck at home, we saw this as a big need, and we had hundreds of kids join for last summer. It was 6 weeks, I believe, 6 or 8 weeks, where we did things like virtual field trips to online games and things like that. Currently, we are doing it through the month of July. We're in the middle of it at the moment. It's gone through, let's see, the dates. We started July 12th, and it's going to go through July 30th. And so we have a 3-week camp. There's like a specialization, a headline for each week. So we had Summer Safari was week 1, Aerospace where we are right now, and then next week will be Motion in the Ocean. And I can drop the link to the sign up for families that are interested. But it's just been really nice for our families to be able to allow their kids to get some excitement while still being at home. And so we are happy to provide them. We have some great chapter directors across the country that were leading it. I think they just did a mock launch to outer space today. So it was pretty cute. And I will send you that info. And in terms of other programs, book clubs in certain locations, we do have them. We call it the START program. It's the Serving, Thriving, and Reading Together. It's humanities-based and family-focused among military and civilian families. So it's like a 6-week program that has storytelling, reading, discussions, and sometimes we'll include the author of the book. It's a free program that we aim children around between 6 and 12. And again, it's for military and civilian families. And so that's something that we've implemented in a variety of communities. It's something that we're implementing in Chicago next spring, which we're excited about. We have a fellow who is in Naval Station Great Lakes spouse and a former teacher. And so she's going to be using those expertise as a former teacher to run our START program in Great Lakes.
Awesome. And thanks for sharing the private chat here. A couple of information. I'm going to leave both. I'm going to put the other one up here on this for summer camp here in a second. I want to leave it up there for people who are watching it. If you're listening, you can head over to the YouTube. I'll put some of this content on our website too. But if you're watching, I wanted to put it on there so they can pause it and type it into their browser. Since there's no way to link it there. But that's some awesome stuff. I wish you just had a way to get kids to read more. I'm trying to get mine to read more this summer, and all they want to do is play video games. Such is the challenge of parenting. Somebody who's watching this and might want to get involved. You guys are a nonprofit. You got volunteer opportunities. You got opportunities to donate. So what can you tell us about where people can kind of help either financially or in person as a volunteer?
Yeah, definitely. Our website, bluestarfam.org, is a great place to go. In terms of donations, also, we have 11 chapters throughout the country. And even in places where we don't have chapters, we sometimes still have volunteer chapters. But you can sign up to be a member, and then it will, based on your geography, your zip code, connect you into the local chapter in your area. We've had a variety of different volunteers opportunities in Chicago. We had some pretty unique ones that we had just last week. Macy's was partnering with Blue Star Families as part of the Salute Those Who Serve campaign, and we were able to surprise a Chicago area military veteran and sergeant in the Illinois National Guard with a home makeover. So that was really cool. We had some volunteers that were helping us with that, and it was a really fun experience to be a part of that kind of life-changing day for this wonderful family that we were able to help. And we also did a food insecurity event where we were distributing about 25 pallets, 16,000 pounds of non-perishable food items, things like personal care items, shampoo, soap, toothpaste, to military and veterans who were based out or living in the area of Great Lakes, and we had about 1,500 people that showed up. So that was really great event. And so those types of events, we do coffee chats that happen periodically through Starbucks, who was our partner on that, in various different local areas on a variety of different topics. Some are more support group oriented. Some are more just, a sense of community coming together, every month or two. And so if you just sign up to be a member, it's 100% free, and you'll be pulled into your local community if you live in Chicagoland area, including Great Lakes and beyond, or in Illinois. Feel free to reach out to myself. I can put my email in the chat. It's just bgould, Gould, at bluestarfam.org. Follow us on Facebook as well. We post a lot of our opportunities there. It's facebook.com/shy, CHIBSF. And then you could be following us on social media, where we try to post everything that we have going on as well.
You definitely got a lot of stuff going on, both locally up there in Chicago and around the nation. So I guess what I would leave everybody with is go to the website. You got to go to the website, see what's going on in your area, see where the chapters are, find their Facebook pages. I'm assuming probably each one has their own, and go find out what they're doing. Volunteer, or if you don't have the time, maybe a few bucks to help the mission going forward, or spread a word, or share a Facebook post or whatever. I mean, we've got to do a better job in the military community and military supporters and all that to get the word out there about this, because I don't care who you are. If you've got a family, you can get as a slight recap here, resume help, finding jobs, books, summer camp for your kids. I mean, there's something literally for everybody that you guys are doing, which is awesome. And that's why I was really excited to have you on here and kind of highlight basically a little bit of everything. We could probably go, like I said earlier, go down a rabbit hole on each one of these in depth of how awesome they are and what they do. So, but you got an event coming up at the end of September that I wanted to get to have you highlight. It's your welcome week. So what is that, and what are you guys doing?
Yeah, so Welcome Week is an initiative that we started last year because about 600,000 military family members will be moving, whether it's PCSing, deploying, transitioning out of the military. We want to establish a week that is all about welcoming new families to their new communities. Part of our survey, what we found is that only about a quarter of military families feel a sense of belonging in the community that they live in, and about 25% don't even know a single person that they trust enough to ask a favor from. And so one of the things that we really are working through that initiative is really to welcoming families, putting them into touch with existing families in that community and offering them a support system. We're doing some really great events in the Chicagoland area. We have the Chicago Bears are going to run their mini monster football camps with a bunch of military children. So we'll be able to bring them all out together as a thank you. And, if you're from Chicago or in a lot of cities, sports and food is really how we operate. And so we're, getting the Chicago Bears there, and also Portillo's is going to donate some coupons to their chocolate cake, and we're going to give them all kind of like a resource bag, as well as some swag and other, gift cards, and welcoming, just really a sense of belonging here in the community. And we're establishing our first ever welcome committee. So we're going to have dozens of military families that have been in, their area in Great Lakes and Chicago for some time now. They're going to be there to kind of check up on some of the new families, have their family meet these new families and give them a sense of community and belonging within their community at large. So we're really excited about that, and we've seen a really overwhelming amount of interest and people being part of this welcoming committee and saying that, Rich, this existed when I was moving. And really what those folks are going to do is put together a document, all the information they wish they would have known when they arrived at Great Lakes, kind of a cheat sheet and things like that, just trying to make the transition just alleviate it just a little bit, make it a little bit easier. Trying to put people in an atmosphere where they'll be able to meet people and create new relationships that will be helpful for their quality of life.
Awesome. Now you mentioned Portillo's chocolate cake, so I'm going to assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the first thing you tell new families when they come to Chicago?
It's towards the top of the list. For sure. Yeah,
first thing you got to do is go get some chocolate cake.
Yeah.
It is some pretty good stuff. If you are not from, because I don't think Portillo's anywhere other than Illinois, as far as I know. We've got one here. I'm down in the Peoria area. We've got one. I think Bloomington's got one, but if you've never had the chocolate cake, it's like, I don't know if you've ever been out on the West Coast, but when I was in the military, a lot of people talked about In-N-Out. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for even saying this. I've had it. It didn't really live up to the hype. I'm just going to say, you got to come to the Midwest and get some Portillo's chocolate cake. It will live up to the hype.
Sure. No, I feel the same way. They also
shots fired back to the West Coast people.
You better be. You're going to be in trouble, but
that's okay. I got broad shoulders. I'll take it.
There you go. And they have a pretty good burger at Portillo's too. Italian beef, can't go wrong with those.
Yep, that they do. And then it's some good pizza up in Chicago too. So, but it's once again, thank you for coming on. Anything else that you'd like to highlight? Anything that's going on, whether it be locally in Chicago or things on the horizon for Blue Star families that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, those are really kind of the big things. We are going to be having an outing at the Chicago Sky, the WNBA game, September 5th. And we're circulating the registration link if people are interested, totally free. Follow us on Facebook, sign up to be a member at bluestarfam.org, and you'll be connected directly to our local chapter or your local chapter. So you'll get all these emails and information. Feel free to reach out to me directly. Happy to help or try to get you someone in your community. Yeah, well, we're just here. I appreciate the time and being able to share about Blue Star Families, the work we're doing, and hope to hear from folks out there.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it because, I have a variety of people to come on and talk about different things, man. But it's always awesome to have somebody in the nonprofit world, who are, giving back in so many different ways. So it's always special to kind of know more about it myself and bring that a little bit more light, shine a little bit more light on what you guys do. So I appreciate it. We can go ahead and wrap up and hang out if you want to. I might get a couple more links from you. And then we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
All right. Thanks so much for having me, Keith.
Yep.